Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's show. Just want to say I apologize. Yesterday we didn't do shows. I was extremely sick, caught a stomach bug, and I literally didn't get out of bed all day. So I'm sorry about that. But today we've got some bombshell news about Harris and Walz that they're basically being sidelined now by who? None other than Obama. Obama is taking the lead on all the campaign events, on all the speaking events, and as they said behind the scenes, basically has told Harris she needs to shut up and sit down and let him take it from here. Reason being because all the major polls are saying that Trump is leading Harris by 7 to 10 points to win the presidency. But what we are truly seeing is that Obama is the one who's really in charge, that it is always going to be his way while he's in charge of the Democrats. On top of that, Trump has come out again with more tax cuts for the middle class to make sure that we can combat inflation, high prices, and that more Americans can keep their hard-earned money. On top of that, we also have details about Trump and the Dream Team coming together to clean house within the government, reduce spending, and make sure that we bring everything back to an American first mentality. Just want to say thank you to everybody that's watching. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing and also hitting the thumbs up like button. It really does help to grow the channel. And also just want to say thank you to all the members of the channel. We appreciate you so much. And to everybody that gives a super chat donation, we are so grateful for all those donations. And again, too, in about a week and a half, we're going to be making a big donation to the hurricane victims and making sure that we help them out so that they know that this channel is doing more than just telling about the news. We are making good news. But I just want to say again, too, thank you to everybody and everybody's support. I don't know if I'm looking all the way I'm supposed to, guys. I still kind of feel a little off, but we're here to do the show and to make sure you got the top news. Check this out because this is mind-blowing. Oh, sorry, y'all. Oh, come on. Don't do this to me.
Fox News alert, Barack Obama thinks Kamala Harris has officially plateaued. And behind the scenes, he's saying worse. Kamala's losing the black vote. He was caught saying this just moments ago in Pittsburgh.
We have not yet seen the same kinds of energy and turnout.
This was caught on a hot mic style. Wasn't supposed to be broadcasted, but thank God somebody got it.
Quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running. Now, I also want to say that that seems to be more pronounced with the brothers. So if you don't mind, just for a second, I'm going to speak to y'all directly. And say that when you have a choice that is this clear, when on the one hand you have somebody who grew up like you, knows you, went to college with you, understands the struggles and pain and joy that comes from those experiences.
Now they're going to need white dudes and black dudes for Harris hats. Now, the Obamas and the Clintons are telling her no more
Oh, come on. I'm sorry, y'all.
taking over.
They need to be sharp. They need to be aggressive. They need to stop answering questions and start asking questions. I would put President Obama out to make that. He's only got a 92% approval with Democrats. He only is the author, the father of 23 million people having insurance. I would have President Clinton talking, going on these local TV stations, talking about how tariffs are going to destroy the economy of Wisconsin or Michigan. The whole campaign needs to be much more aggressive and much less passive than they are.
This is a softer, gentler coup. She's still the nominee, but Obama and Bubba are going to be taking charge. They're letting Bill Clinton loose. The comeback kid is hitting the campaign trail for Harris. And the Messiah, he is back. Barack's in Pittsburgh, and the media is orgasmic.
There probably isn't another human being on the planet right now capable of providing more of an electric jolt to the Democrats' most winning coalition than President Barack Obama.
Barack Obama really has become the country's chief explainer in chief, the person who wants to explain the moment we're in, the position we are, the stakes.
He's obviously one of the best, if not the best, orators in politics that we've seen in many.
Like, it blows my mind that now, since Harris is losing so bad, now it's going to be Obama's campaign. It's going to be Obama for president. Because now they're coming and telling Harris and Walz to take a sidestep because they're not cutting it. And now, look, Obama's stepping in like never before, and everybody's saying, oh, yeah, just focus on Obama. Forget Harris. I mean, I know she's running for president, but we like Obama better. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
Here to mansplain Harris to the country. You know, when the young lady says holistic, what she really means is, here he was just moments ago.
This election's going to be tight. Because there are a lot of Americans who are still struggling out there. So I get it, why people are looking to shake things up. I mean, I am the hopey changey guy. So I understand people feeling frustrated and feeling we can do better. What I cannot understand is why anybody would think that Donald Trump will shake things up in a way that is good for you.
Wow.
He just said America's struggling and wants change from the Biden-Harris administration. And Harris just said she doesn't represent change. They don't have it this time, guys. Obama once said Kamala Harris was the best-looking attorney general in the country. He said, she's Jamaican me crazy. Can he push his crush over the finish line? Feels like it's too late. Everyone knows Kamala Harris is Joe Biden.
Yes.
If anything, would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
After she said that, she went on Colbert and somehow made it worse.
Under a Harris administration, what would the major changes be and what would stay the same?
Sure. Well, I mean, I'm obviously not Joe Biden.
I know.
And so that would be one change in terms of... But also, I think it's important to say with, 28 days to go, I'm not Donald Trump. And so when we think about the significance of what this next generation of leadership looks like, were I to be elected president, it is about, frankly, I love the American people, and I believe in our country.
She can't come up with anything, y'all. This cannot be our next president. It's a simple question. And yes, she's so hesitant. She can't say anything. I mean, literally struggling to answer a simple question.
Oh my God. Kamala has had 2 months to come up with an answer to one question. Who are you? The best she could do is I'm not Joe Biden and I'm not Donald Trump? That's it? The core question of this election is, how is Kamala different than Joe? Mm-hmm. They staged a coup because Joe is Joe and he couldn't win. You can't say you're the same guy. She just said, I do all of these things that this terrible guy did. The same stuff. The guy that was so terrible we couped him. But I'm totally different from him. But I can't put my finger on how. Kamala just went on television and said she's running for president because she's not Trump or Biden. I mean, we can go out on the street right here and pick anyone, and they have the same qualifications. CNN's not even convinced.
Vice President Harris has been asked repeatedly how she's different than President Biden, and some people think she's been tripped up by answering that. How do you think she is different than President Biden?
Well, first of all, whatever the differences is between them, it's not nearly as vast as the difference between her and Donald Trump. She's obviously a woman. She is a woman of color, and she is of a new generation.
Kamala?
Literally, like, let me tell y'all, if the only thing is that it's her skin color and she's a female versus a male is the only reason why she's different. The Democrats are doomed. It doesn't matter to me as much as you bring out Obama, because a lot of people love Obama, and we've all heard what he said in the past, that dude wants to do what? He wants to be running behind the scenes. He wants to make sure that what? He's pulling the strings for the country with an ear mic. But listen to this, because it gets even worse. Like, we're truly seeing where the Democratic Party is at and how desperate they are getting.
I've never been happier to ring that bell. I got to tell you something, as my friends and as a member of this Bongino army.
And one more thing, too, I do want to say is that the more and more that we get to the point of just understanding that we're in this is a truly, when they're saying Trump is a threat to democracy, they're always going to say what they are, in a sense, if that makes sense. So if they get voted in, they want to get rid of the filibuster, they want to get rid of the Supreme Court, they want to stack the court and all this. And yet, how is it that with Trump wants to bring the dream team and reduce government? So just make sure you're always looking for those specific notations.
Follow him on X. I think he's got a show. This guy is hilarious. He's an economist-oriented guy, super smart. Here's about a minute where he describes exactly what I've been telling you, more eloquently than I've said it, about how the October surprises are now kicking Kamala Harris and her team right in the gonads, and there's nothing they can do about it. Because everything they did, those chickens are coming home to roost. Check this out.
With the Katrina-level federal incompetence in North Carolina, the New York Times is panicking that, quote, economic turbulence could sink Kamala's campaign, handing the nation to MAGA fanatics who want to seize the federal government and make it leave you alone. The article laments that we're seeing October surprises, but the wrong kind of surprise for the New York Times liking. So instead of wall-to-wall coverage by salivating left-wing journalists of Donald Trump's banter, instead the New York Times is worried we're getting a war in the Middle East that could send oil prices soaring, a port strike that threatened to cripple the economy, already old news, and a hurricane that revealed in horrifying detail how rotted out our America last federal government has become.
Ooh.
The Times laments, more in anger than sorrow, how all of these unlucky breaks are hitting just when, quote, American policymakers were gaining confidence they had successfully tamed inflation. They are particularly worried about oil, since politicians have known for a generation that gas prices make or break an election.
Folks, the October surprises are kicking them in the nuts, not us. And they can't get away from them because the numbers are the numbers are the numbers. Look at this. I wrote this down. I love that video. I wanted to make sure I launched the show. I think I sent that a couple days ago. I'm like, guys, we got to run with this. The storm response, awful from Biden-Harris. Just awful. Awful. I don't care what they tell you about what FEMA's doing now. Ladies and gentlemen, political optics matter. The storm response was devastating. Kamala Harris, fact, was in Hollywood hobnobbing at a fundraiser. That is an irrefutable, undeniable fact. While people were drowning in Hurricane Helene, that you can't argue that.
No.
Look it up. It happened. Joe Biden was on the beach the next day after it. They didn't visit for a week. FEMA money was used for illegals, was billions of dollars for illegals. Our money was sent overseas. They were sending out tweets about sending our money overseas while people were struggling and FEMA was crying broke. Folks, optics matter, okay? But the media told us optics matter. Your rule, you wanted them, now we're going to play ball. Remember when George Bush and Katrina said, talking about Michael Brown, Brownie's doing a good job. And by the way, the Katrina response was the best they could do. It was the locals who screwed it up. Go look it up. Go look it up. But we were told optics matter. Don't tell Michael Brown he's doing a good job. They ruined this guy, the media, because they told us optics matter. Biden was on the beach. Mayorkas was shopping for hammock pouch underwear to shield his from the sun rays in a high-end men's store while people were dying. Okay? That's a fact. Mayorkas, Biden, Harris, total garbage. Absolute filth. They screwed it up, And their October surprise was that they sucked, and they surprised us by sucking even worse than we thought they sucked. The second, as you heard in the St. Ange video, the Middle East blowing up. Hot today again, as Israel, the IDF, their intelligence services take out more demon savage terrorists. I hate demon savages. Put them 6 feet deep, as many as possible. Good for them. The Middle East is blowing up right now. Nobody's listening to Joe Biden because nobody gives a shit. It's so bad they had to edit the answer at CBS. The jobs numbers came out worse than expected.
Sandra Mario Enzi with the super chat. Thank you so much. Said, love you all. Let's do good work. 100%. Everybody show Sandra some love in the chat.
There's an Afghani in the country accused of a terror attack on election day who apparently was working with the CIA, another Biden thing. You had a port strike that's barely resolved. No, don't let anyone tell you the port strike's over. Yo, yeah, there's a cooling off period and a temporary deal. But they didn't agree to any long-term stuff. The port strike. Inflation came in hot again, and gas prices are going up. Again, folks, this is just the numbers, okay? You don't believe me? Fine, cool. This is like a supermarket, this show. Why in the chat? Now that I can look again live. Because we always bring receipts. Yahoo Finance. And Michael, is this a big conservative website? No, it isn't. Thank you. Not at all. Don't tell me I don't bring receipts that are bipartisan, nonpartisan, whatever. Okay. Inflation, consumer price increases in September come in slightly hotter than estimates. You think that's Yahoo Finance, y'all. Liberal D-bags. Yahoo Finance. They're more communist than Vladimir Lenin. They're telling you, look at the date, October 10th, 2024. Here, you want another one? Notice I'm using no conservative sites here at all, in case you think I'm fudging the fact that inflation's getting bad again. I thought we were told it was under control. Ha! Too bad, so sad, you got effed again. Here's Bloomberg News. Bloomberg News, you mean like the left-wing gun-grabbing? Yes, that guy. Here's Bloomberg News telling you how bad the inflation numbers came in again. Higher than expected, yet again. You want more government spending? More inflation? Keep it up. Watch this.
All right, let's take a look at CPI. Comes in a little bit hotter than anticipated, up 0.2%, same as last month. Forecast was for 0.1. The core comes in up 0.3. That is also a little bit hotter than forecast. 0.2 was the belief. 0.3 was what we saw in August. The year-over-year numbers, 2.4% for the headline, not as good as anticipated, and for the core, 3.3%, not as good as anticipated.
Wow.
So 3.3 for core inflation. In other words, stuff you really buy. Folks, what else do you need to hear? This show is...
If there's anything, like, this is what I love. Everything that you're seeing now is complete factual. It's the data. It's undeniable. When you're not getting enough jobs, whenever inflation is still on the rise, things aren't coming down, real people feel it. And I feel like at this point in time, that's why Trump is winning so big in the polls, is because real people want to vote him in, because they're like, life right now sucks for a lot of people because everything's so dang expensive. And whenever you know that things are more expensive, you can't help it but say, well, you want change. And for Obama to come out and say that, oh, you're not gonna, sticking with Kamala Harris, you're gonna get change. I'm telling you, it's such a big joke. I'm surprised Obama could even say those words.
Not F around, okay? I would happily bring you conservative sources on this. However, the numbers are the numbers. I choose liberal sources for one reason. Because I don't want to be accused, oh, Bongino's making that up. It's a conspiracy theory. Really? Yahoo Finance and Bloomberg? Inflation is out of control, folks. It has been out of control for 3 freaking years.
Yep.
And you got that Milton Friedman video. I know it's at the end of the show. I'm sorry.
I love this,
guys,
what you're about to hear
right
here.
You know what I'm talking about? I sent. Rand Paul sent this out. It's only about 30 seconds. Don't sweat it. Folks, listen to me. Please, please, please. This is the most important 30 seconds of your life. Inflation is always and everywhere a money phenomenon. The more money the government prints, if you were to helicopter drop like the government does, $100,000 on an island that only had $100,000 on it, how much money would be on the island? $200,000. So the prices of things on the island would likely double. Yes, it's a simplified answer. Who has the only power to helicopter drop money? The Federal Reserve, which is a government entity despite claiming it's quasi. It is not. The Federal Reserve finances all of this government borrowing.
Yep.
Where do you think the government's borrowing from? The Federal Reserve makes all of this happen. They are printing more money because the government's spending more money, and Kamala Harris is now running on spending more money. So if you like this inflation, according to Bloomberg and Yahoo Finance, then yes, vote for Kamala Harris. I'm not here to mess with you. I'm not here to tickle your fancy. You like inflation, vote for more Kamala Harris. She's proposing ridiculous amounts of new spending. Here, listen to Friedman explain. Government is the only person causing this inflation right now is government. Listen to this.
Inflation is made in Washington because only Washington can create money. And any other attribution to other groups of inflation is wrong. Consumers don't produce it.
No.
Producers don't produce it. The trade unions don't produce it. Foreign sheiks don't produce it. Oil imports don't produce it. What produces it is too much government spending and too much government creation of money and nothing else.
Folks, nobody else can create money.
Let me tell you this. The only people that create money is, of course, what? The federal government. If anybody else creates money, what is that called? It's called counterfeiting. Nobody else can do it. So if nobody else can do it, and the only person held accountable is what? The federal government. So whenever we have too much money in the system, it's their fault. When you have a government, now they say, well, Trump spent just as much money as Biden did. Well, there's a big difference. We were going through a freaking pandemic. Biden didn't have to spend all that money. They didn't have to create all that money, but they did anyway, and it hurt the American people. And now you've got Obama out here trying to save the day. Let me know, do you think Obama is enough to save the Democratic Party? Let me know your thoughts, but check this out, because I love it, even whenever they tear them a new one, even on CNN.
It's a political party that thinks gender is just a state of mind, and all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, we have trouble with moderate biological males. I mean, who is surprised about this? I think Democratic Party elites like Obama and like others have been viciously attacking Donald Trump since 2016, and everything they've said about him is what they have always said about him, and I don't think it's particularly effective right now. I think their problem isn't attacking Trump. Their problem is finding reasons to give people to support Kamala Harris. This stop he made in this plea he's making to African-American men. I mean, he said today, he insulted them. I mean, he, first of all, admits that they're not enthusiastic about her. He said, you just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president, and you're coming up with other alternatives and reasons for that. And I think one thing we've seen about Democrats over the years is that when they can't convince you to do something, they begin to insult you. Obama specifically, when he was having trouble with rural voters in Pennsylvania, go back all the way into his campaigns, he insulted them about their culture and values. I don't think it's helpful to insult a group of people who are already not enthusiastic about your campaign, but I think that's what he did today. The story tonight is they're struggling with men, Obama's insulting men, and they're out saying, well, let's fix it by sending Tim Walz out and hiring Mitt Romney. It's crazy to me.
I'm sorry, this is not a campaign strategy to name Mitt Romney the Secretary of State.
Are you agreeing?
This is a suggestion in a report. Exactly. I don't think we should force any candidate to name who their cabinet is prior to even winning. I think they should be out there talking to voters.
I totally
100%. And just like you see it on there, it's so hard for them to rebut the facts. But what I love is that when you look at the polls right now, and the polls are showing that Trump is kicking Harris's butt. They're trying to bring Obama out here. They need him to shake things up to make sure that Harris is closer to a win. But this is the thing. Too many people aren't seeing anything new from Harris. When they ask her, what's the difference between you and Biden? Nothing. What are you going to do different? Nothing. That's not what people want to hear. They want to hear, bam, bam, bam. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to do this. And in the beginning of her campaign, she did. But now, she's just not even saying nothing. They literally are not allowing a potential future president of the United States to say anything, because if not, they're going to pull her aside. They're going to scold her. They're going to say, you know what? You're in trouble. We're going to let Obama do all the talking for you. I'm telling you this. And then the more stuff comes out, again, too, because they don't want Trump to win. Check this out.
It's time for Seen and Unseen, where we reveal the story behind the headlines. For that, we turn to Fox News contributor Raymond Arroyo. Ray, while Florida was prepping for the impact of Hurricane Milton, Kamala attended a virtual readiness call and spoke to a staffer under her breath.
We really got to watch those areas and those communities. So it takes quite a while for that water to drain.
Thank you very much.
To the people of Florida, and in particular the people of the Tampa region, we urge you to take this storm seriously.
She needs a lozenge, Laura. But look, as anybody knows, if you don't mute the microphone, covering your mouth does not protect your speech from being heard. And worse than that, the Harris campaign released videos overnight of Kamala playing disaster relief czar with local mayors and the FEMA administrator.
How you doing?
Here we go again, ma'am. I'm in Tampa.
Trish Hicks with the super chat. Thank you so much. Everybody show Trish some love in the chat.
At the moment,
You were mentioning to me some of the concerns around mis and disinformation.
how's that playing out? Well, it's just a shame.
Mayor Welch, is Kamala Harris. How you doing?
Madam Vice President, thank you so much for checking in on us.
Know that you got it and know that you are invited to give any feedback about what you might need in real time.
Laura, who needs Harris's hurricane hotline? I mean, it's ridiculous. When the governor and the actual president have things in hand, we don't need her phoning a friend during a disaster. And look, I don't know why she's so eager to insert herself into this narrative. If it's to show competence, it's having the opposite effect.
Well, Raymond, it reminded me of the We Did It, Joe, like the original video she did when she won, and then picking Waltz, that goofball video they did. Those things are always a mistake. They should never do those.
I mean, Laura, anytime somebody's filming the conversation on both ends, it's planned. This is a TikTok moment. And speaking of TikTok moments, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer joined a left-wing podcaster for a bizarrely sacrilegious display with a Doritos chip. I'll play it and then we can discuss.
Hey, sorry.
Laura, she's wearing a Harris Waltz cap, baseball cap during this thing. Does Gretchen Whitmer believe this kind of sacrilege is not going to offend Catholic voters who constitute about 20% of the Michigan electorate?
Well, this is what they think of people.
This is a governor who just did this. Like, can you imagine if this was a Republican governor? This is about as bad as you can get. This looks so, the optics of it are horrible. It looks like she's a pet. Like she's feeding a pet.
Faith. You know, we just talked to Harris.
Oh, come on,
They did to him because he actually said, "Oh, it's great to have a vocation as a homemaker." It wasn't dissing anyone else. And then, but this is okay.
Yeah.
This is what they do. Now, before we run it,
No. But what I didn't realize here, I didn't realize that there was some Wiccan Dorito cult that she's trying to get the votes from. This is so offensive in a statement.
Very
to Fox.
offensive.
Gretchen Whitmer's office said she's used to infusing social media with pop culture. Keep your pop culture out of our faith. It's offensive. It's blasphemous. I'm sorry.
this popular trend has been used by countless people, and she cites Billie Eilish. Okay, that means it's good. All right, before we run out of time, Raymond, Kamala Harris' 60 Minutes interview continues to make headlines. This is what they released originally as a teaser.
Mm-hmm. It seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
Can you follow any of that? But when they aired the interview, Laura, a day later, they dropped a new edited answer in.
It seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
We're not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end.
It's so fake.
What a scandal that is. So that's not even part of the. That wasn't even in that part of the answer, right? Or
well,
they just
CBS
took it from.
claims that CBS is claiming there were two answers, and they used the first and then the second, you know, in the two interviews. But look, Catherine Herridge, who used to work at CBS, she said when she interviewed Trump in 2020, they released a full transcript. That's what should happen here. A full transcript needs to be released so we know exactly what was edited out and what the vice president actually said. The voters deserve nothing less.
Yes. Because y'all remember the whole 60 minutes that was released for Trump and everything, everybody just had a heyday. They went crazy over it. But now that, you know, we want to see what Kamala Harris has to say, they're trying to keep it under wraps. And a lot of people are saying, why is it so? We just saw the footage. And if you go on X, everybody is posted about the before and afters. They're trying to protect Kamala Harris. She's so bad at answering questions. Nothing's operating up there. They're trying to protect her. In order to do that, now we know, just like ABC News, 100% was one-sided towards Kamala Harris. CBS News is exactly the same way. And it doesn't even stop there. Check this out.
Back on prime time. How you doing, Sage?
I'm great, Jesse. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you too. Obama doesn't look great. He looks worried, and he's mad at the brothers for not coming out for Harris. Do you think the magic from the Messiah is going to be enough to drag the best-looking attorney general in America across the finish line?
What I think versus what I want, actually, I think this answer is the same. To me, no. Because right now it's obvious that they are in panic mode. That's why, and again, I just moved to the state of Florida, the free state of Florida, as we say. And one of the reasons is because I'm trying to escape the way my state up north in Connecticut had been run because of people like Kamala, and frankly, because of Barack Obama as well. But at the end of the day, the optics have been disturbing if I take a step back and put my biases aside and say, okay, what is this campaign doing? And to bring him in now after what? The complete flub with how they handled the storm, Hurricane Helene in particular, and coming off of the major pushback. She's gotten crushed from going on the podcast, Call Her Daddy, and then, of course, drinking beer with Stephen Colbert. How about those optics, by the way?
Yeah.
Like, they plan that ahead to pick the kind of beer she's going to drink. Do you think people buy that? So this is panic. However, if I'm their campaign, I would be doing the exact same thing because people now go, oh my gosh, where is Barack Obama? I hope that for the sake of our country, not because I like Donald Trump better or her less, for the sake of our country, based on what? What we've already seen for 4 years from 2016 through 2020, how our country was safer in every aspect, how our economy was so much better. I really hope that people can once again put aside all the personalities, focus on the policies, and just be honest. If you have to plug your nose when you go in there to vote, do it. But at the end of the day, this desperation ploy right now, I think we can all kind of see what's happening.
I mean, even Barack Obama said it himself. He said, Americans are struggling. I understand why people want change. People are frustrated. I mean, we are living in a Biden-Harris world, and he's saying, I get it. You don't like these people. You don't want to be here anymore. But he's saying, not Donald Trump. You got to go Harris. That argument doesn't make any sense. She just said she's no different than Joe Biden. Sage? I think Barack's lost his touch.
That's the thing. I mean, what else can he say? They are actually between a rock and a hard place, right? You're trying to say, no, bring me in.
Alicia Sanders, thank you so much for the super chat. Said, never forget how desperate the Democrats are that they turn their back on our people hurting and worse from Hurricane Helene. 100%. It's inexcusable, y'all, that whenever people are suffering, people are losing their lives, the very next day, Biden is at the beach and Kamala Harris is at fundraisers. That is not leadership. That is 100% all politics, all photo ops, and it is 100% true. Everybody show Alicia some love in the chat.
Because I represent change, I'll make you better. Change from what? The same 4 years that you've been a part of, and you say all the time, we. So which one is it, right? And they don't know what to say. They think that people are so dumb and so anti-Trump, which many are, that they're just gonna ignore the facts and focus just on him. I hope that we as voters are better than that.
Well, I wish we had more time to talk, Sage, because I've missed you. We had a lot of hurricane stuff at the top. I'm sorry, we got to go. We're glad you have your power.
Let me tell you this. And now this actually just broke. So the biggest thing right now is what? The swing states. If you look right now, this just came out from the Wall Street Journal that Donald Trump is 6 points ahead of Kamala Harris in Nevada. This is, remember, he lost Nevada in 2020. So I'm telling you this, like, I feel like everybody in the chat would agree that people are seeing through Kamala Harris. She can't answer for anything. And they just have acknowledged that, you know what? Trump is actually the one that we need to vote for. Joseph Evans, thank you so much for the super chat. He said, Obama has his goons running the country, but he is behind the curtain, pulling the strings in the basement while he eats his... Okay, yep. Y'all can read the last part, guys. Want to try to keep the channel as clean as can be. Everybody show Joseph some love in the chat. Because I'm telling you this. What you're about to see next. You can't make this stuff up. So Obama comes out and he's trying to talk to people. And he's trying to sway them to what? To vote Kamala Harris. But you can see here, even he is struggling as to what to say to try to sway voters. Check this out.
It's pretty clear. No matter who you think you're going to vote for on Election Day, there's a sense on the Democratic side that they've lost momentum. The sugar high is done, and the interviews have not helped Kamala Harris. That all leads to why we saw Barack Obama yesterday. It's not a surprise to see the very talented and popular former president. But what is a surprise is the anger he showed yesterday, the vigorous way he went after the former president who could be the next president, and he was out and about. This is him. This is not the best audio, but here he is addressing young black men about what they see is a problem, and that is many are voting for Trump. Listen.
We have not yet seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running. Now, I also want to say that seems to be more pronounced with the brothers. So if you don't mind, just for a second, I'm going to speak to you.
Don't you just love how even Obama's doing it now? So we've heard Kamala Harris come out and she's had the Jamaica accent now. She's had the Southern accent. And now Obama's coming out and he's talking to the brothers like he's from the hood and he knows what it's like. He's gone away from his professional, intellectual speaking. Now he's trying to relate to the brothers. And you can hear it in his voice. He's even like talking so slick. It's so fake, guys. Like you can't make this stuff up.
And say that when you have a choice that is this clear, when on the one hand you have somebody who grew up like you, knows you, went to college with you, understands the struggles and pain and joy that comes from those experiences.
I've never heard Obama speak that slang before in my life. This is so bad.
He's directing his interest. In fact, he's kind of lecturing them. Look, you've got to vote for Kamala Harris. And in fact, it's during his big rally in Pittsburgh yesterday, he essentially said that she is the inheritor of the political movement that he started in 2008.
But Ainsley, that's part of the problem. It's a lecture to black men. It's not about our economic circumstance.
No.
It's not about how we view the border and people taking the jobs that would traditionally go. I have a construction worker that I spoke to in a barbershop. We're going to play the series very soon in Detroit. And he said, I don't want to admit this, but when Donald Trump shut down the border, the wages were raised in my construction industry. He said this on camera. And he goes, on that issue alone, I had to give him a look. And so what former President Barack Obama is speaking to emotion. He's not speaking to the grievances of black men, which is why there is such a divide. And I'm sorry, he has a lot of swagger. He speaks candidly to the brothers, but that's not enough to get a lot of them to support Kamala Harris.
Yeah, he says that Kamala Harris hasn't had the same kind of energy as we saw when I was running. He said that when I was running, which I agree with. We all saw that. We lived through it. But then he says, everyone has a choice that's so clean.
It's not.
You said it's not.
It's not so clean.
What is it that you think black men like about Donald Trump?
Well, they want to take care of their families. And so if even the people that don't necessarily like Trump's personality, everyone always says, well, I had more money in my pocketbook, right? The grocery store prices were low. I may not like the bombast when it comes to the border, but you know what? It's getting out of control.
And that's it's like, this is what I love is that I would say 90% of what Trump has said over the past 7-8 years has come true. When he talked about the border, when he talked about inflation, when he talked about the economy, all these things you can't make up. And now that we're essentially, for the first time ever, we're getting to compare two administrations, an administration of Biden / Harris, because remember, she said she wouldn't do anything different, versus an administration of Trump. Everybody's like, Trump, all day, every day. No question about it. And even with Walls, they literally are now, they've told this dude, do not speak. Every time you open up your mouth, it gets worse. Check it out.
Moments ago, Governor Tim Walz was pressed by Good Morning America about why Kamala Harris hasn't made good on her campaign promises while she's been in the White House. Here is that exchange.
Something that former President Trump said, something that within your debate they were saying that, hey, these are policies that Kamala Harris could have done 3 years ago when she was in the White House with President Biden, and she never did. What do you say to people who bring that up?
Well, Donald Trump had 4 years to do it, if you're going to talk about that. And the point is, you need a partner in Congress. You've seen these here. We've seen different bills that are ready to pass, and Donald Trump makes sure he steps in. We saw it around immigration, a bipartisan bill, widely respected, wanting to make a difference in this, holding true to our values, securing the border. Donald Trump steps in and says, look, that's going to hurt my political future.
No.
Let's not make it happen.
Not even close.
Oh, gosh. Will they stop with that? Donald Trump's son, Eric, who is EVP of the Trump Organization, joins us now to react. Good morning to you, Eric.
Hey, Ainsley, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. What did you make of that? Because everyone has been saying, she had 3.5 years to do this. Even your dad on the debate stage said that to her. And now they're flipping it and saying, well, he had 4 years.
Yeah. Well, Ainsley, you can't answer a question if there's no answer to the question, right? Which is why he was trying to, slide his way through that. I mean, at the end of the day, they let 20 million illegal immigrants into the country, and then you get to hear Kamala come out and talk about how she wants to fix the border, but she doesn't want to fix the border, and here's how you know why. My father built about 600 miles of wall. He also built the rest of the steel slats that all they needed to do was literally, put upend. And she sold all of them for scrap metal. Then she goes out and they fly 320,000 illegal immigrants into the country in the middle of the night. You guys covered it better than anybody. They were landing in airports all across the country.
Yep.
They're not serious about solving this problem. I mean, Ainsley, when was the last time you heard them talk about fentanyl? I mean, fentanyl has killed 300,000 children this year. 300,000. You have police departments in this country that are running out of Narcan. That's how much fentanyl, that's how big the problem has become. You don't hear them talking about it. Ainsley, they want illegal immigrants. She was the border czar. My wife was just down on the border. The Border Patrol agents were literally telling her that they wouldn't allow them to turn on the security cameras that my father built, right, on big poles right behind the wall. They wouldn't allow them to turn on the security cameras because they didn't want to show the American people the magnitude of the problem that they have on the southern border. And it's killing our country. It's killing our jobs. You see what's happening in Aurora, Colorado, where you have Venezuelan gang members taking over people's low-income housing. I mean, You see it with the drug pandemic in this country. You see it with the human trafficking. You see it with jobs. I mean, they're taking every job. I mean, you're seeing real systematic problems. Right now in New York City, you have 157 hotels that are filled to the brim with illegal immigrants. These are the most expensive hotels anywhere on earth.
Yeah.
And yet, we have veterans sleeping on streets. We're not doing anything to take care of them.
That's heartbreaking.
They're not a serious administration. And the reason you have him do this rope-a-dope, Ainsley, is he can't answer the questions because their policies have been a disaster and they want these disastrous policies.
Eric, politics, this better than anyone. It's kind of what's going on in the times as to how we vote. And right now, we saw what happened in Israel, broke everyone's hearts. We saw what happened in Afghanistan. We can't pay our groceries. We see all these illegal immigrants coming across our border. Crime is up. The list goes on and on. So when I see Kamala Harris drinking a beer, right when a hurricane is hitting the people we love in North Carolina and ripping down their houses and people are dying, or when I see Tim Walz at a stadium talking about football, it's just not the right time for that. We're all anxious.
No.
We're all counting down until this election. Everyone's nervous. People are scared they're going to lose our country. And they're having beers and talking about football and going pheasant hunting. It's just not the time. And this was the headline in Politico, that Walz has to launch media blitz to woo male voters. There's a deficit among young men voting for Kamala Harris and for Walz. So he's trying to focus on...
The problem is that no guys see Walz as the alpha male, the guy that you want to follow behind. The guy who you say, you know what? I want to be like him one day. No. He seems so much like he called himself a knucklehead. He can't keep his own speech in check. He has lied so much about his past and just nobody wants to be him. And if nobody wants to be him, then everybody is going to vote for somebody who they want to be like Trump.
Football and hunting, doing this interview with Michael Strahan in the middle of the University of Minnesota football stadium, taking social influencers hunting, pheasant hunting, and taking local reporters hunting or talking about hunting. What is your reaction to that?
Yeah, my reaction is, of course, Ainsley, she did a podcast called Call Her Daddy as a major hurricane was destroying our country.
No.
I mean, listen, I'm all for humor. You know me very well as a person, right? I'm a funny guy, but wrong time, wrong place. No different than Biden sleeping on a beach on a Monday morning, right? I mean, sunbathing on a beach on a Monday morning, wrong time. And of course, Walz has to restore his reputation, to the male voter. I mean, this is a guy who literally was putting tampons in males' bathrooms in Minnesota. I mean, I don't think there's many, masculine men that exactly find that to be a positive attribute. I mean, this is a guy who took his honeymoon to China. It's shocking that no one talks about that. I mean, I'm still trying to figure out with Tim Walz how a guy, who was on a teacher salary was able to go over to China 35 times. Listen, I've been in international business my entire life. I know a lot of those guys. No, who's been over to China 35 times? Who pays for those trips? Who takes their money? Who takes their honeymoon to communist China? And so, I don't think you can restore your reputation by, kind of haphazardly going in a field and pretending you're a great hunter. I mean, first of all, you're going to look insincere. Second of all, you're going to kind of look foolish because if you don't do it all the time, you can, see it from a mile away. But man, I mean, I think it's going to take a lot of work, and I certainly don't think he can get there.
Did you see what Obama said? He went to this campaign field office before he went to this rally, and he said, it's not the same kind of energy as we saw when I was running. He's worried about the black male vote.
And I'll tell you this, again, especially when it comes to, I'm Hispanic, you want to see power, strength, and not, let me tell you this, y'all want to know who I see power and strength from? I see it from somebody, from like a woman named Carrie Lake. When she gets on stage or when she talks, the amount of power that comes from her is like off the charts. But when you see something from you don't see that from Kamala Harris. I see nothing but a goofball. I see somebody who cannot be competent enough to answer her own questions without a teleprompter. Now, the next guy you're about to see, strength, power, competency. Check this out. Part of the dream team, baby. Let's go.
as we've been saying, are not good. Americans are not better off than they were 4 years ago. The joy in the Harris campaign is now gone. So how does Donald Trump continue to pick up momentum as we head for the finish line? Now, in my opening monologue, I did list, nearly 6 questions that she has yet to answer. It infuriates me that she can go on the Call Me Daddy podcast, Howard Stern, The View. She can go on Stephen Colbert, Crack a Beer, 60 Minutes, ask one tough question, but then they edit 2 separate answers for one question. And is this what we call journalism in America? Vivek Ramaswamy is with us. I'm glad we got you back.
This guy right here. Judy C, thank you so much for the super chat. Said, I'm a newbie here. I really like your channel. Hey, we love you. Appreciate you, Judy. Everybody show Judy some love in the chat.
Always been really hyper-focused on Republicans' need to lay out a better vision. I think at this point it's more than that. I think Republicans, yeah, absolutely, they've got to lay out their economic vision, their vision for the absolute insanity at our border, how we're going to deal with foreign adversaries, how we're going to deal with energy prices and inflation, all of that. And however, I want answers from Kamala Harris. They don't seem to be forthcoming. And maybe I'm dreaming, maybe it's a fantasy, maybe I'm in a surreal world. I would think that the media would demand those answers that they're not demanding. Why am I that naive, having done this for so long?
Well, I wouldn't call you naive, Sean, but I would say I look at it a little bit differently. I don't see us as running against Kamala Harris here, actually. Just like we weren't actually running against Joe Biden. We're not running against a candidate. We are up against a machine. And what we need to do is to get in there and dismantle that machine. That's what draining the swamp is actually all about. And I do think that a lot of people are seeing through that smoke screen for what it is. So if you think about Joe Biden's cognitive deficits, and he had them, well, you know what? Those were not a bug, but they were a feature for the people who managed and controlled him. The same thing goes for Kamala Harris's policy deficits. That was actually an advantage for the people who are pulling the strings, the puppet masters who are wielding their puppet. And what we get with Donald Trump is somebody who's actually an executive. The person we elect to run the government is going to be the person who's actually running the government. And that's why a lot of independents and even one-time Democrats are coming along to say, you know what? Even if I don't agree with 100% of what Donald Trump has to say, I'd rather have an actual executive who's strong rather than a figurehead and a puppet who's just another wheel in that system. That's what this race is about.
But there are very powerful institutions against President Trump. There is something called the deep state. God only knows what we'll learn from 51 former intel agents only a couple of weeks before this pending election. God only knows what other indictments will be coming down in the days ahead, which I have no doubt are probably going to come, or what lawfare or what a weaponized DOJ is capable of. You have an institution as powerful as the media, and they can't ask, do you still believe in the bill that you co-sponsored, the Green New Deal, $93 trillion? You would eliminate the filibuster to pass it? That we can't get an answer why she would eliminate private health insurance, why she would never say the words radical Islamic terrorism. I think these are kind of basic and fundamental things, and a grave disservice to the country is happening here before our eyes.
Well, no doubt about it. You've seen the same thing with Tim Walz, who's now the vice presidential candidate. I will say that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, by the way, share one thing in common, Sean. They both got their jobs as vice president because of their race and gender. So if the Democrats learn one thing out of the defeat that's coming for them, let it be that identity politics never works for hiring. But I'll say something deeper about the deep state, which you raised as well, because this is a real issue. We talk a lot in our party and about the Trump presidency, about the mass deportations that are coming, and that's important. If we've had the largest influx of illegal aliens, we've got to have the largest mass deportation in history. But my advice is, don't forget about the second mass deportation that we need as well. That's the mass deportation of millions of unelected federal bureaucrats out of the DC bureaucracy. I think we can't fall into this trap to say we're going to reform that bureaucracy. Incremental reform doesn't work when it comes to the administrative state, when it comes to the deep state. You need to make deep cuts if you're going to defeat the deep state. And I do think this time around, Donald Trump is more prepared than ever to go the distance, to be able to say that we're not going in to reform the bureaucracy, we're going in to dismantle it, to shut it down. That's how you save a republic. That's how you save this broken system from itself. That's what I'm excited for. In about 25 days, I don't urge complacency on anybody, but I feel really good about things. What I saw on the ground yesterday in Pennsylvania, I joined President Trump for both of his rallies, including in Scranton, Joe Biden's hometown. It's like I've never seen before, the kind of energy that we're seeing, lines of people miles away from the event. We are potentially on the eve of a tidal wave. If people see this through and actually show up, and if you're able to vote early, vote on election day, even better. But if we do this, I think we can unite the country and do what Reagan did last in the 80s, Sean. I'm excited for it, but it's going to require everybody to do their part.
Let me tell you what you're about, like this polling right here, this is the latest on the election right now. We are kicking butt. This is from CNN, y'all. This is 68% to 30% where Trump is going to beat Kamala Harris in the polls. Like, this is huge. Like, you can't make this stuff up. This is straight from the people that can't even stand Trump, that they're showing that Trump basically has a 40% win right now over Kamala Harris in the Electoral College. I love it. Geoff Palfreyman, welcome to the family. Pamela McKnight, welcome to the True Life News family. Y'all show them some love in the chat, everybody. Just want to say thank you to everybody that's watching. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. And if you don't mind, click the thumbs up like button. Just want to again apologize. Yesterday, I was feeling super sick. I got like a stomach bug. I was in bed all day. It was, I'm telling you guys, it was one of the worst ever. I don't know what I caught, but I just wanted to get better. And I'm just so thankful that I did feel better starting last night, able to do a show today. But thank y'all so much for your support. And thank you, Pamela, for already upgrading to I Love This Channel. Thank you so much. Show them some love in the chat, everybody. We couldn't do this without you. We're here to make sure you see all the top news, what's latest, what's going on. I want to give some shout outs to Sandra Mario Renzi, Trish Hicks, Alicia Sanders, Joseph Evans, Judy C. Thank y'all so much. All of our new members, we couldn't do it without you. We are here for you. We love you all. And remember, we're always going to be here to take care of you. Make sure you have the latest news. And I'm telling you what, I'm sorry I should have posted yesterday letting everybody know what was going on. But I just want to say again, thank you, Joseph Evans, for the super chat. He said Richard Simmons was more of a man than Tim Walz is. Hey, that's saying a lot right there. Everybody show Joseph some love in the chat. But we thank you all. We'll have another one tonight, guys. We love you, appreciate you, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.